Andy Serkis really wasn't kidding when he said the Venom 2 sequel really is like an absolute roller coaster. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel Lifestyle Critic. I hope you're having a brilliant day. So in this video we are going to be reviewing the Venom 2 sequel, Venom There Be Carnage. Now this is the very long awaited and highly anticipated movie, and I was fortunate enough to be invited to watch this at the red carpet premiere, and I have to say this movie is so brilliant. It brings back the Tom Hardy actor as the awesome Eddie Brock and more importantly Venom character, and also introduces Woody Harrelson as the highly anticipated long-awaited Cletus Cassidy and Carnage symbiote, which is just absolutely phenomenal. Seeing Venom against the ultimate Carnage really is any comic book fan's absolute dream, and Andy Serkis does do a really good job in this movie. Now it is a really enjoyable movie and everyone does a phenomenal job from an acting point of view. However, I do feel like they could have added a lot more content into this movie and made it even bigger and better and bolder than it is, and also the post-credit scene really is absolutely phenomenal. Really will change the whole Marvel landscape for the better, but we'll talk about that another day. In this video at least we are going to be breaking down and reviewing Venom There Be Carnage. So from a storyline point of view, it pretty much plays out as you've seen it in the trailers. So we're reintroduced to the partnership and the cohabitation of the Eddie Brock character and the Venom symbiote, and there are honestly some truly absolute hilarious sequences just really showing the challenges of these two characters sharing the same body and also having a bit of a love-hate relationship with each other, which is just absolutely awesome. We also see the origins of the two villains of this movie, so Carnage and Shriek, and we also explore some of the backstory of the Cletus Cassidy character and seeing why on earth he's on death row now. However, like I said, I wish we would have explored this a lot more, as this character has such an interesting backstory that they really could have explored it a lot more. One thing that I did really like though is that they really looked at the Eddie Brock character being a reporter, as Eddie Brock is telling Cletus Cassidy's story via the Daily Bugle, which is really cool. The film then explores how Cletus Cassidy turns into Carnage, the unstoppable ultimate symbiote Carnage, which is just absolutely incredible. And it also sees if Eddie Brock and Venom can ultimately stop him and save the city and save the world as well. Now from a positives point of view, this movie is super fun, absolutely hilarious, some brilliant sequences. All of the Venom dialogue pretty much across this movie, every single one just has to make you burst out laughing because it's so good. And on that point, the dynamism between the Eddie Brock character and Venom is so brilliant. Andy Serkis did say that it's a bit of a relationship happening between these two characters, and just seeing how they're living together in these really crazy circumstances is somewhat relatable. So I feel like from that point of view, this movie is really cool. Also, I know there was a lot of controversy around this movie not being rated R. I think ultimately they made the right decision in terms of making it PG-13, as ultimately a lot more people were able to watch it. But actually, that being said, it does mirror Spider-Man 2 in terms of having some really scary horror-based sequences, despite it being PG-13, which I think is really cool. Also, it's really well fast-paced. I know Andy Serkis did say that he wants the viewers to feel like they want a bit of a roller coaster, and I feel like they totally achieved that, as it just goes from scene to scene to scene really smoothly, really quickly. And as such, you can really feel the intensity and the ride of this brilliant movie really well. And of course, that post-credit scene at the end of this movie is just absolutely phenomenal. However, from a negatives point of view, because of the fact that it's only got a 90-minute runtime, I feel like they could have added so much more content into this movie and just made it so much better, even better than it already is. For example, exploring some of the backstory to some of the characters, really fleshing out some of the action sequences and the battle sequences. On that point, there's only a few action sequences in this movie. I mean, all of the transformations with the Carnage character look absolutely wicked, but I do feel like they could have just done so much more with him and just seen him create absolute carnage within the city. I know the Venom in the nightclub sequence was a little bit funny, but like I said, I feel like they could have added and replaced that sequence with so much more stuff in this movie. On that point, the final act of this movie is very reliant on CGI, and some of the camera angles don't really work even though it is CGI. So, you know, some of the things don't work that well. But that being said, from a storyline point of view, it would definitely have you hooked from start to finish. So the cast and characters in Venom Let There Be Carnage are so brilliant. They honestly all do such a good job in this movie. So let's go through them one by one. So first up, of course, we have Tom Hardy, who is just so good as Eddie Brock and Venom. He plays both of these characters to perfection. The Eddie Brock character, super relatable. I love that he's trying to get his life in order. He's obviously had a very hard time in the first Venom movie, and he's trying to pick himself up and trying to live in this crazy circumstance with Venom. And at that point, Venom is just so funny. Like I said, every single line that he says is comedy gold. You can't help but laugh at every single one. And weirdly, you can also relate to their dynamic in terms of trying to cohabit together and just having all of these love-hate relationships with each other, which I think is absolutely hilarious. And you can also tell that Tom Hardy is just having such a laugh and really enjoying himself playing all of these different characters. It must have been a little bit difficult to film, as obviously, like I said, there is quite a lot of CGI there. But that being said, from a performance point of view, I feel like Tom Hardy just does such a good job. Next up, we have Woody Harrelson, who is playing the Cletus Cassidy character and the Carnage character. Like I said in the storyline section, I feel like they could have explored this character even further, but that being said, you definitely can feel how chilling and sinister this character is. And also, Woody Harrelson similarly does a really good job in terms of voicing the Carnage character, and you really can see just how much of a dynamic force the Carnage symbiote is. He's so powerful, and all of his action sequences is an absolutely brilliant one where you see him escaping the prison, and that sequence is absolutely wicked. I just wish we'd have seen a little bit more of that as well. Next up, we have Michelle Williams, who is back as the Anne character, and they continue the narrative with this character and with Eddie Brock and with Venom really well. And she is obviously Eddie's ex-fiance, and now she has a new fiance, so just seeing that love triangle / love square is absolutely hilarious as well. Next up, we have Naomie Harris, who is playing the Shriek character. She does do a really good job with the material that she's given, but similarly to Carnage, I feel like they could have explored this character even further. I feel like her character and the Carnage character actually are super comics accurate, which is really great, and it's really nice with this character as well actually, as they do reference the fact that she is maybe a bit of a mutant in the opening sequence with this character, which I think was really cool. Her screaming, shrieking abilities are absolutely awesome. And from a performance point of view, I feel like it was very similar to the third Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And speaking of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, it's really great to see Stephen Graham in this movie. And for once, he's actually not playing a comedic character, but is actually playing a bit of a serious detective cop figure, which is so great for this actor, as he's really showing how versatile he is. And from a performance point of view, I actually think he does do a really good job. Next up, we have Reid Scott, who is Anne's new fiance, and he actually has some really great sequences and some great dialogue lines in this movie as well. And then finally, we have Peggy Lou, who is returning as the Mrs. Chen character. And just like with all the other characters, she has one sequence that is absolutely brilliant. Super funny, absolutely excellent sequence. And so I just feel like from a cast and characters point of view, this movie is actually pretty flawless. So from a visuals point of view, Venom Let There Be Carnage is actually pretty wicked. All of the action sequences, all of the fighting sequences, all of the chase sequences, for the most part, all of them look really good. Like I said, the final act of this movie is a little bit overly reliant on CGI, and there's some really quick cuts that they do from an editing point of view. But they didn't need to do this because this is CGI, so they could have made it actually pretty smooth. But it does have quite a few jagged cuts in there. But that being said, I feel like it's really cool, as it really does embrace its 90s setting, despite the fact that it has the future modernization. So I feel like it's so brilliant and really has best of both worlds. And so from a visuals point of view, even though they could have improved certain aspects of it, it doesn't take away from the fact that it is a super enjoyable superhero movie as well. So from a comparisons point of view, obviously this is a story of an anti-hero, and I guess the other anti-hero movies, the most noticeable one is the Blade trilogy. I feel like this movie is a lot stronger actually than the Blade movies. I don't think it's as good as the first Venom movie, purely because of the fact that the first Venom movie just had so much more going on. I feel like if this movie was a little bit more fleshed out, had a few more fight sequences and action sequences in there, then it would be absolutely a great movie. But that being said, I also don't think it's as strong as the other Spider-Man movies. But that being said, I do think it is in particular a lot stronger than Spider-Man 3. This representation of Venom was a lot stronger than Topher Grace's performance, even though I did really like that Eddie Brock and the aspects of Venom, but I just feel like ultimately this version of Venom is a lot stronger than the one in Spider-Man 3. I also think this movie is a lot better as well than the Green Lantern movie as well. So from a comparison point of view, whilst there are other movies that are a little bit stronger than this one, it definitely is a brilliant ride as well. So overall, I really enjoyed Venom Let There Be Carnage. I think it's such a fun movie, really enjoyable, brilliant viewing in this pandemic environment that we're all in. I feel like all of the actors do such good performances. All of the characters are so strong, and even from a storyline point of view, I feel like it is really easy to follow. I feel like, you know, given the fact that they wanted this movie to feel like a bit of a short roller coaster, from that point of view, I do think it's really successful. I would have loved it if there was a little bit more material in there. But, you know, that being said, the post-credit scene alone is just really making it mandatory viewing to watch this movie. And so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 7.5 out of 10. I'd love to hear what you think, so please let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video.